Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, it's the 14th of November 2024, the 50th anniversary of the Amityville murders, and I'm having a little movie marathon. I'm up to the second phase of the Amityville films, the Cursed Objects phase, which were 4 TV movies that were all starting from, well, one actually was a TV movie and the rest were direct-to-video, where they all involve a cursed object coming from the Amityville house after it was sold and or destroyed, and then the lives of the people who come into contact with or buy these items are all sort of affected by the Amityville curse and the spirit from Amityville. And this is the Amityville 1992, It's About Time. Now, I remember it being called Amityville, It's About Time, but I guess it was released on video in 1992. I'm sure they added the 1992 later, but I don't know. That's a weird memory I have. But this one is actually pretty good. It has some fairly good production values. It feels like a film. It could have been released in the cinema. It doesn't feel like a cheap little TV movie or a cheap direct-to-video movie. The effects were done by K&B Effects, the ones who did Jason Goes to Hell and the Hellraiser films and that. And there's a few interesting things in here. The one particular murder is quite Blob-esque. But yeah, this film, it doesn't really have any stars. I mean, it's got Stephen Meck, I can't remember how to pronounce his name, M-E-C-H-T. He's been in a lot of things. He was in Enterprise. And Jonathan Penn is in this, but he's playing this really annoying doctor or therapist. And he's not playing his usual hot self like his character Dave in Rude Awakening. So it's kind of interesting to see him playing a totally different character because he's not hot in this film, where he's totally hot in his other films and Rude Awakening. But yeah, the thing I love about this film the most is the music. The theme for this, which is all based on the inner workings of the clock and all the sounds of the clock. It's just amazing. The soundtrack done by Daniel Leitch, I think Leitch is how you say his name, is brilliant. He did 2 of the Amityville films, and this is just, I can just listen to it all day. I've got the soundtracks. Basically, an architect goes from, I think they're in California, to New York to work on building properties on a big section of land, and I think part of it was the land where the Amityville house was, because in the canon of this film franchise, the Amityville house exploded itself at the end of the 3rd film. The 4th film is actually a prequel where you see the film at the start. It takes place before the events of the 3rd film, but this one is after that, and the house is actually gone. So we see the house, but it's just in like images, reflections, drawings, stuff like that. We don't actually see the house in the film, really. So he comes home with a clock, which just happens to have been in the original house that was on the land that was owned by the Warlock before the house that was, in the Amityville horrors. So the Ketchum house. So that starts to possess the house. It drills itself into the wall. It starts to insert its coils through the walls and become part of the house and take over the house and affect everyone in it. Now, the main characters, there's the architect and his ex-girlfriend, who's still sort of involved with his kids and him, and she's trying to leave, and when he gets bitten by a neighbour's dog, she stays to take care of him. He gets sicker and sicker and sicker, and the wound gets more and more disgusting, thanks to K&B. And there's a daughter who's very shy and innocent, and there's a son who's a bit of a heavy metal, sort of cynical guy who's interested in the paranormal. He's got a friend called Iris who knows all about the paranormal, and they try and work out what's happening. He's the one who's sort of got the most idea of what's happening. But ultimately, he actually kills his sister. The neighbours are all affected. It's just what you'd expect from an Amityville film and a possession film, where things just start to happen to everyone. Eventually, it comes down to the point where she confronts the clock and manages to force it to reverse time, and everything goes back to before the guy arrives home with the clock. And she sees it, and whether she remembers what happened or she just feels it, she grabs the clock, smashes it on the ground, and smashes it into pieces, And then she leaves and he says, what's this all about? She says, it's about time. And she should have left well before this, before all that happened in the Avatar timeline. So it's quite well done. It was released in theatres in Mexico. It had a premiere at some film festival, and it really does watch like a really good horror movie. And the theme of the clock and everything, they really tried to make their own film just with a tie into Amityville, so it really works. And I love it. It's probably the best produced out of all the films in this sort of phase. And yeah, I can't say anything bad about it. And I just love that I have it, you know, in 16:9, you know, on Blu-ray, you know, scanned from the original film and everything. It looks amazing. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of Amityville 1992. It's about time. If you haven't seen it, I'd definitely see it.